Hello, I'm Shelly Irmen. I live in Cochrane, Alberta, Canada. I was diagnosed with relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis in 2003. At the time, it seemed like this was such bad timing. I was at the peak of my career, peak of my activity level, and I wanted to start a family. Obviously, the universe had other plans for me.
In 2001, I began having intermittent numbness in my left hand. I was practicing as a registered massage therapist at the time. In my training, I specialized in treating people with MS, so I had a hunch about this numbness, but I didn't do anything. The sensory disruption persisted for approximately a year. I shared with my MS clients that I thought I had MS. I continued to live like this, thinking, what's the big deal? I can keep up with my massage therapy business if this is all that happens. No big deal. And I don't really know for sure MS is what it is. About a year later, that would make it the end of 2002, I had a life-altering experience. I remember it was on a Sunday. I was a bit dumbfounded as I thought I had a stroke. I made an appointment to see my doctor the next day. I told him of my interesting experience of intermittently losing all sense of where I was in space and the Novocaine numbness that appeared on my left side. My doctor proceeded by doing some neurological tests on me and pronounced I needed to get to the emergency neurology clinic. It was after 2 MRIs my diagnosis was clear. My husband Scott and I remember sitting in the neurologist's office viewing the MRI image of my brain on the computer and thinking what we saw were tumors. Thankfully, that was short-lived. The doctor described these spots as lesions from the disease multiple sclerosis. Questions arose inside of us. Firstly, we were in shock. Secondly, we began to ask ourselves, how long would it be before a wheelchair would be needed? How long before I was bedridden? We were worried about the unknown. What would happen to me? How would Scott take care of me? Would we have enough money? For a full year after my diagnosis, I was far, far away. I was in denial. My view on life was, live in the now. So I did. I spent oodles of money without thought. I drank too much. I partied too much. I can't say I made things easy for Scott, but this is the way in which I coped. The weight I placed on him just happened. Scott never complained about anything. He felt he didn't need to complain about his issues when mine seemed so much bigger. I admit, at times I've taken for granted Scott, a wonderful man, the very person who is there for me through thick and thin. I didn't want the diagnosis of a disease to dictate my life, so finally, at age 34, I got pregnant with my son Lawson. It was 6 months after he was born I had the worst MS relapse so far. I lost the ability to walk, talk, and use my left arm. I was in serious trouble. The recommended drug was a steroid, prednisone, and lots of it. I took over 1,000 milligrams every other day for a week, decreasing the inflammation in my brain. The side effects were mind-altering and emotionally disruptive. There was a point where I had to self-catheterize, leaving us both wondering how much more damaging the disease would be. I gave up skiing when I no longer felt safe, which was disappointing for Scott and me. We were each other's ski pals. Over time, my health became stable once again, and my daughter Lucy arrived in 2009.
Time has given me and my loved ones patience and knowledge to work through this adversity. It would be my dream to prevent my story from happening to another young person. So let's put our brains together to support brain research. Visit neurofilmfestival.com.